Sarala had always been told that humans were the most dangerous living beings in the galaxy. In her world, young ones grew up hearing stories about how humans were cold, harsh, and unkind. Even the elders said humans felt nothing for other species. So when her patrol ship crashed on a quiet human-controlled moon, the fear in her heart was real and heavy. Her leg was injured when the ship hit the rocky ground, and the sharp pain made it difficult to think clearly. The sky above her was dim and quiet, with soft dust floating around her. She lay near the broken edge of her ship, trying to stay conscious. The air smelled strange, and every sound made her worry that a human might appear. She whispered to herself, trying to stay calm. "Stay awake. Someone will find you. Maybe not humans." But deep down, she knew humans controlled this region. If someone came, it would probably be one of them. She expected a strong voice, rough behavior, maybe someone grabbing her without asking. That is what she had learned all her life. Her breathing grew weaker until she heard footsteps on the dry ground. Slow, steady, careful footsteps. Her heart jumped. She forced her eyes open. A shadow approached through the dust. And then she saw him clearly, a human male. He wore a simple engineer's jacket, dusty from work. He was tall, but not in a threatening way. His hair was slightly messy, and he had kind-looking eyes. But Sarala did not focus on kindness. She only remembered the stories. She tried to push herself away, but pain shot up her leg, and she cried out softly. The human stopped immediately, raising both hands slowly to show he meant no harm. His voice was calm, soft, and almost gentle. "Don't move. You're hurt," he said. Sarala froze. The tone surprised her. Humans were supposed to be loud and angry. But this one sounded careful, almost worried. She did not reply. Her body shook from fear and exhaustion. The human took one small step closer, but only after watching her reaction. "My name is Evan. I'm an engineer at the outpost nearby. I won't touch you unless you say yes. But you need help." Sarala's eyes widened. No human in any story had ever asked for permission. She swallowed hard, confused. "Why? Why would you help me?" she whispered. Evan crouched down slowly so she could see his hands clearly. "Because you're injured. That is reason enough," he said simply. His answer did not match anything she had been taught. She expected orders, demands, maybe anger. But instead, he acted with patience. Even his breathing was steady, as if he was making sure she didn't feel scared. She looked away, not knowing what to say. Another wave of pain moved through her leg, and she trembled. Evan noticed and reached into a small medical bag. He placed it on the ground in front of her so she could see everything he was doing. "This is just water," he said, showing the container. "You look dehydrated. May I give you some?" Sarala hesitated. Trust was difficult, but she also needed help. After a long moment, she gave a small, shaky nod. Evan moved closer, still slow, still careful. He held the container near her lips without touching her. She drank a little, and the cool water eased her dry throat. "Good," Evan said softly, as if speaking to someone fragile. "You've been out here too long." Sarala studied his face. His expression was calm, not harsh. His voice held no threat. She tried to understand what kind of human he was. Was he pretending? Was this a trick? But his eyes looked honest, and he kept a respectful distance. When Evan checked her leg from a few feet away, he frowned with concern. "Your injury looks serious. You can't walk. I need to take you to the outpost's medical room. But I won't touch you unless you allow it. Do you understand?" Sarala stared at him, surprised again. No human from her stories would speak in this manner. She slowly nodded. "You may help," she whispered. Evan gently lifted her, supporting her injured leg carefully. She expected rough hands or sudden movements, but he held her like she was something precious and fragile. She didn't feel fear from him, only a strange sense of safety that she didn't understand. The walk to the outpost felt long. Sarala leaned slightly against him because she had no strength. Evan didn't complain or act annoyed. He moved slowly, so she didn't feel any extra pain. Whenever she winced, he said softly, "Almost there. You're doing great." The outpost doors opened with a quiet hum, and cooler air brushed against her skin. Several humans nearby looked surprised to see an injured alien in Evan's arms, but instead of anger or shouting, they stepped aside and made space. Evan whispered something to them, and they nodded. He took her to the medical room and placed her gently on a soft bed. The light above her was warm, not harsh. The room smelled clean, and she heard a quiet machine humming nearby. It was peaceful, much more peaceful than she expected. Evan stepped back so she could feel safe. "I'll call the doctor now. She's very kind," he said. "But I'll stay here if you want." Sarala was silent. She did not know what she wanted. Everything felt confusing. All her life she believed humans were cold-hearted. But this human seemed gentle, patient, almost protective. "Why? Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. Evan blinked, then smiled softly. "Because no one deserves to suffer alone." His words touched something inside her, something she did not know how to handle. She looked away, unsure what she felt. Maybe fear, maybe relief, maybe both. The doctor arrived, a calm human woman who spoke with a friendly voice. She examined Sarala with careful movements and explained each step before doing anything. Sarala's fear lessened a little more. She watched Evan standing near the wall, giving her space but staying in sight so she didn't feel alone. The doctor wrapped Sarala's injured leg and placed a gentle brace on it. "You'll be fine in a few days," she said with a warm smile. "You were very lucky he found you." Sarala looked at Evan again. "Lucky?" She never thought a human could be a source of luck. Evan asked softly, "Do you need anything? Water? Food? Rest?" Sarala shook her head, unable to speak. Her mind raced with too many thoughts. Evan nodded. "All right, I'll give you some time. If you need me, just press the button on the wall." He began to walk out. But before he reached the door, Sarala's voice stopped him. "Evan?" He turned around. "Yes?" Her hands trembled slightly. She did not know how to say what she felt, so she spoke the only truth she understood at that moment. "I thought humans were cruel." Evan's expression softened, and he stepped closer, but only by one step. "We're not perfect," he said, "but most of us try to be kind. Stories don't always show the truth." Sarala lowered her eyes. "I don't understand humans." Evan smiled gently. "That's all right. We can learn about each other slowly." His voice felt warm, almost comforting. Sarala looked at him again, and for the first time since the crash, she felt something other than fear. She felt safe. The room grew quiet as Evan finally left, closing the door softly. Sarala lay in the warm light, thinking about everything that happened. She expected cruelty. She expected harshness, but instead, she found kindness she never imagined. She whispered to herself, "Why would a human be so gentle with me?" She had no answers yet, but she knew one thing clearly: her beliefs about humans had already started to change. Sarala woke the next morning feeling strange. Her legs still hurt, but the room around her felt warm and peaceful. Soft lights glowed from the ceiling, and the faint sound of distant machines filled the quiet space. She blinked slowly, remembering the human who carried her here with gentle hands. Evan, a name she never expected to say without fear. For a moment, she wondered if everything from yesterday had been a dream. Humans were not supposed to act kindly. They were supposed to be cold, unfeeling, and harsh. That is what her people always believed. But then the door opened with a soft sound, and Evan stepped inside with a small tray in his hands. So it was all real. Evan smiled politely. Not too big, not too sudden, just calm, simple warmth. "Good morning," he said softly. "How are you feeling today?" Sarala stared at him. She didn't know how to answer. She didn't feel scared, but she didn't feel safe either. Everything was confusing. Her eyes moved to the tray he carried. It held a small bowl of warm meal, the kind her species could eat without trouble. The smell was gentle and familiar. Evan noticed her curiosity. "The doctor helped prepare this," he explained. "We checked the food guide for your species. I hope it tastes okay." That surprised her. He could have brought anything. Humans were known for eating heavy and strong foods that her people could not digest. But he took the time to prepare something safe for her. "Thank you," she said softly, unsure if she was saying it correctly in the human language. Evan placed the meal on the table next to her bed, but did not touch her or come too close. "I'll stay over here," he said, pulling a chair to the far side of the room. "If you need help, just tell me." His distance made her relax. It showed respect. It showed that he understood she was still afraid. She slowly lifted the bowl and tasted the food. It was warm, simple, and comforting. She hadn't eaten anything proper since the crash. Evan watched her only occasionally, letting her eat at her own pace. After a while, Sarala finally spoke. "You care too much," she said, not accusing him but trying to understand. Evan took a slow breath. "It's just how I was raised," he replied. "If someone needs help, we help them. That's what humans should do." Sarala shook her head. "Not what the stories say. Maybe the stories are old," Evan said gently. "Maybe it's time to make new ones." His words lingered in her mind long after he left the room. Each time he stepped away, she found herself thinking about him, his tone, his patience, his quiet smile. No human from her home planet's tales behaved like him. Those stories showed humans as wild thunder. But Evan felt more like a soft sunrise, unexpected and warm. Later that day, Evan returned with something shiny in his hand. It was her damaged communicator. The device had cracked during the crash, and she thought it was beyond repair. "I looked at your ship earlier," Evan said as he placed the communicator gently on the table. "The engine is badly damaged. But this communicator, I think I can fix some parts." Sarala's eyes widened. "You touched my ship?" "Yes," Evan said, but quickly added, "Only the outside. I didn't open anything important. I didn't want to break your privacy." Again, that word, privacy. Humans in her stories did not respect boundaries. But this human did. Over and over again, she slowly picked up the communicator. It buzzed softly. Not fully repaired but working enough to send a signal. "Why do you do this?" she whispered. Evan rubbed the back of his neck. "I just want you to be able to contact your people. They're probably worried." Sarala lowered her head. "My people fear humans. They will think I am being harmed." Evan's expression turned sad. "I'm sorry. I wish they could see what you're seeing now." She did not answer, but the thought stayed in her mind for hours. As the day passed, Sarala's fear slowly changed into something new, cautious curiosity. She observed Evan each time he came in. He moved with gentle care, as if he wanted to avoid any sudden reactions. His voice was always soft. His steps were never loud, and he always asked before touching anything near her. When the heater near her bed stopped working, Evan knelt beside it and repaired it quietly. He didn't brag about fixing it. He didn't talk about himself. Instead, he asked Sarala about her world, her forests, her seas, her traditions. She found herself describing small things at first, then more. She talked about how her people lived in tall crystal towers, how their nights glowed with soft blue lights, how they believed the universe spoke through storms. Evan listened without interrupting. He didn't roll his eyes or show disbelief. He simply listened as if every word mattered. "Your world sounds beautiful," he said when she finished. Sarala blinked slowly. "You think so?" "Yes," Evan said. "I'd like to see it someday. Not as an enemy, just as a visitor." That simple sentence touched something deep inside her. She had never met anyone, even from her own people, who listened to her like that. That evening, while checking her leg brace, Evan noticed she looked troubled. "Is something bothering you?" Sirala hesitated. "Your kindness confuses me. Humans are not like this in our teachings. You should be angry. You should shout. You should treat me without care." Evan looked at her for a long moment, then spoke softly. "I don't want to be the human you fear. I want to be someone you can talk to. Someone you can trust. Even a little." Trust, a heavy word. She didn't know how to hold it properly yet, but she noticed something every time he was near. She didn't feel afraid. Her heart didn't race. Her breathing didn't tighten. His presence felt calm. And that calmness felt new, almost unfamiliar. Sarala lifted her eyes to him. "You hide your worries," she said quietly. "You smile, but your eyes show something else." Evan paused, surprised she noticed. "Maybe," he admitted softly. "Sometimes I'm tired. Sometimes I'm scared too. But I don't want you to feel more worried because of me." This shocked her more than anything else. A human, protecting her from his own emotions? It made him feel real. Not a story, not a warning, just a person trying his best. She whispered, "You are not like what we heard." Evan gave a small smile. "Maybe you weren't meant to hear the whole truth." Their eyes met for a brief moment, and Sarala felt warmth in her chest, gentle, quiet warmth she could not explain. As night fell, Evan brought her a small device. "This is a room communicator," he said. "If you need anything, just press the button. I'll come right away." Sarala held the device in her hand. "You care too much," she said again. Evan laughed softly, not mocking her but amused in a kind way. "I don't think caring too much is a bad thing." She looked at him silently. The warmth she felt earlier grew a little stronger. He walked to the door. "Get some rest," he said gently. "Tomorrow we'll check your ship. Maybe we can fix more of it." Before he could leave, she called his name. "Evan?" He turned, waiting patiently. Sirala lowered her eyes and spoke in a soft, uncertain voice. "Maybe. Humans are not what we thought." Evan didn't move closer. He only smiled warmly. "Sometimes, stories forget the truth." The door closed quietly behind him, and the lights dimmed. Sarala lay in the warm room, holding the communicator gently. Her thoughts were full of questions, doubts, and something she could not name. Something that felt like a small spark inside her chest. She whispered to herself, "Why does his kindness stay in my heart?" No one answered, but she knew that tomorrow, when the door opened again, she would not feel afraid. She would be ready to learn more about the outpost, about humans, and about Evan. For the next 2 days, Sarala's strength slowly returned. Her legs still needed support, but she could sit up, talk more, and even walk a few steps with the doctor's help. Each day, Evan visited her, sometimes with tools, sometimes with food, sometimes just to ask how she felt. And each time the door opened, Sarala felt something warm in her chest. She didn't understand it, but it felt safe. It felt good. She watched him repair her equipment, ask careful questions, and always respect her space. Humans were supposed to be loud and careless. Evan was quiet, steady, and thoughtful. He never pushed her to trust him. He simply gave her reasons to trust slowly. By the 3rd day, Sarala believed she understood him a little. But she did not expect how quickly things would change. The groundquake. A sudden tremor shook the outpost just before noon. At first, it was gentle, like a distant rumble. Sarala felt the bed vibrate slightly and looked toward the door in confusion. Then the floor jolted sharply. Machines rattled, lights flickered. The doctor shouted from another room. Sarala's heart jumped. "What is happening?" Another violent shake made the room tremble. A small tray fell to the floor with a loud clang. The wall panels groaned under pressure. A moment later, the outpost alarm blared through the hallways. Groundquake detected. Lower tunnels compromised. All personnel evacuate to safe zones immediately. Sarala pushed herself up, ignoring the pain in her leg. Her instincts screamed at her to move. On her homeworld, groundquakes were rare and gentle. But on this moon, the land was unstable. Humans had warned her about it earlier, but she didn't imagine it would be this strong. The door opened and Evan rushed inside, his face pale but focused. "Sarala, are you okay? Did anything fall on you?" She shook her head, but her voice trembled. "What is happening?" "The lower tunnels are collapsing," Evan said quickly. "There are workers trapped. We need to get everyone out." Outside the door, people ran through the hallway. Dust drifted from the ceiling as another tremor shook the building. Evan turned to her. "You stay here. This room is one of the safer ones. I'll help the others and come back for you." Sarala felt fear rise inside her, but not fear for herself. Fear for him. She grabbed the side of the bed to steady herself. "You cannot help them alone," she said firmly. "Humans cannot sense ground shifts like my people. I can help you." Evan looked shocked. "Sarala, your leg? It is strong enough," she insisted. "Your people helped me. Let me help yours." Another tremor hit the outpost. Dust fell from the lights. Someone screamed in the distance. Evan hesitated, torn between worry and the truth she had spoken. He looked at her injured leg, then into her determined eyes. Finally, he nodded. "All right. But stay close to me. If anything looks dangerous, you tell me immediately." Sarala nodded. For the first time since arriving, she felt no fear of the humans outside. She felt a responsibility, something heavy but meaningful. The rescue. The hallways were filled with shaking lights, scattered tools, and worried faces. Sarala walked carefully beside Evan, using the wall for balance. Everyone they passed looked surprised to see a non-human helping, but no one questioned it. The emergency was more important. They reached the tunnel entrance where the collapse had begun. A worker shouted over the noise. "There are 3 people trapped inside. The scanners can't read through the unstable rock." Evan turned to Sarala. "Can you sense anything?" Sarala closed her eyes. Her species had a natural sensitivity to vibration patterns, something like hearing the language of the earth. She placed her hands gently on the wall and focused. The tremors were chaotic, but she could feel faint signatures deeper inside. 3 humans, she said. They are alive. But the tunnel is unstable. If we dig from the wrong side, everything will fall. Evan nodded. Then tell us where to dig. Sarala guided the team step by step. She pointed toward a safer direction where the rock was firm. The workers cleared debris while Evan stayed close to her, ready to support her if she stumbled. Each time the earth shook, he placed a steadying hand near her arm, not touching unless she leaned toward him. At one point, a large crack crawled across the ceiling. A worker shouted, "It's going to fall!" Sarala's eyes snapped open. "Move!" she cried. Evan reacted instantly, pulling a worker back just before a piece of heavy rock fell to the floor where the man had been standing. The worker stared at Evan, then at Sarala with shock and gratitude. "You saved my life," he said breathlessly. Sarala felt her heart thump. She had helped. She had truly helped humans. The species she once feared. After several long minutes of digging under her direction, they broke through to the trapped group. Evan and Sarala helped pull them out safely. 2 were shaken. 1 had a bruised arm, but all 3 were alive. As the rescued workers returned to safety, one of them looked at Sarala with sincere gratitude. "Thank you," he said. "We couldn't have done this without you." Sarala felt her chest warm. Humans, thanking her. It felt unreal. A new respect. When the tremors finally stopped, the outpost gathered outside the tunnels. People whispered about the alien woman who helped save human lives. Sarala heard the words, brave, smart, calm, strong. She looked down, shy and unsure how to respond to such praise. Her people never spoke like this about humans. Yet these humans spoke kindly about her. Evan stepped beside her and said quietly, "You were amazing." Sarala shook her head. I only helped. You saved many with your quick actions. Evan laughed softly. We saved them together. That word together touched her heart more deeply than she expected. For a moment, they simply stood side by side, breathing the dusty air, grateful the crisis was over. Sarala noticed Evan rubbing his shoulder slightly. Are you hurt? Evan waved it off. A rock brushed me when I pulled the worker away. It's nothing serious. Still, Sarala stepped forward and checked the area gently, just as he had done for her many times. Evan froze for a moment, surprised by her closeness. But he didn't step back. You worry too much, he said with a gentle smile. You do the same, she replied softly. Their eyes met, and the world felt quiet again just for a second. The message from her fleet. Hours later, after the outpost settled down and workers repaired the damaged areas, Sarala returned to her room to rest. Her leg throbbed from the strain, but her spirit felt lighter. Helping humans had changed something deep within her. They were not the monsters she had been told about. They were people kind, brave, flawed, and real. Evan checked on her again. Your leg needs rest, he said. Tomorrow, no walking. Sarala nodded. Fine, I will listen. Evan blinked in surprise. You're actually agreeing? She rolled her eyes gently. Do not get used to it. He laughed softly, and Sarala felt warmth spread in her chest again. But then, her repaired communicator beeped loud and sharp. Sarala grabbed it quickly. The signal was weak but clear enough for her to see the message. Her people, her fleet, they were close, very close. Evan saw her expression change. What is it? Sarala took a shaky breath. My fleet. They sent a distress alert. They think I am captured by humans. They are coming to rescue me. Evan's face tightened with worry. If they believe you're in danger, they might act aggressively. Yes, Sarala whispered. They fear humans more than I did. Outside her window, the sky flickered with distant lights. Shapes moving closer from orbit. Sarala felt her heart race. They will misunderstand. They might even attack. Evan turned to her with a steady voice, calm, strong. The same tone he used the day he found her. We'll fix this. I'm here with you. Whatever happens, we'll face it together. His reassurance settled her trembling heart. The outpost lights dimmed as warning signals activated. Sarala gazed at him, realizing something important. She wasn't just worried about her people. She was worried about him. The outpost lights glowed red across the hallways, signaling incoming ships in the sky. Outside the windows, Sarala saw bright shapes forming in orbit, sharp, silver silhouettes she knew well. They were ships from her homeworld, her own fleet, arriving with full force. Her communicator beeped again with an urgent message, repeating the same warning. We are coming for you. Hold on. We will free you from the humans. Sarala's breath shook. How could she explain to her people that she wasn't captured? How could she tell them that the human standing beside her was the one who saved her life? Evan stood calmly near the window, watching the sky. He did not look angry or afraid. His expression was careful, thoughtful. They're getting closer, he said softly. We should talk to the commander before they misunderstand something. Sarala nodded, but her heart felt heavy. My people think you harmed me. They will be ready to fight. Evan turned to her, his eyes steady. Then we'll show them the truth. His confidence warmed her, but worry still twisted inside her chest. Humans had treated her with kindness. But if her fleet panicked, they might attack the outpost. Sarala knew her commander well, strict, protective, and deeply suspicious of humans. One wrong signal could turn everything into chaos. We must go outside, she said slowly. If they see me standing beside you, not afraid, it may calm them. Evan nodded in agreement. Then I'll go with you. We'll face them together. The landing. Minutes later, they reached the open platform outside the outpost. Workers and guards stood behind safety shields, whispering nervously as the alien ships approached the ground. The air grew heavy, and a low hum filled the area as one of the fleet's large carriers descended slowly. Dust swirled. Wind pushed across the platform. The ship landed with a deep, humming vibration that Sarala felt through her bones. The carrier doors opened. A squad of her people walked out in formation, their armor shining with the same silver symbols she wore on her uniform before the crash. At the front stood Commander Rylan, a tall, stern figure with sharp eyes. The commander stepped forward, scanning the area until his gaze landed on Sarala, standing beside a human. He froze, his eyes narrowed instantly. "Sarala," he called out, his voice echoing across the platform. "Step away from the human. We will take you to safety." Sarala straightened her posture. "Commander, I am safe." Rylan's expression hardened. "He is holding you there, is he not?" "No," Sarala said firmly. "He saved me." Rylan's eyes shifted to Evan, filled with suspicion. Evan did not move. He kept his hands visible, shoulders relaxed. His face showed no fear, just quiet resolve. The commander spoke again, louder this time. "Human, release her. Now." Evan shook his head calmly. "I'm not holding her. She's standing here because she wants to." The soldiers behind Rylan tensed, ready to act. Sarala saw their confusion, their fear, their readiness to attack. Her heart pounded. If she didn't speak clearly right now, everything could go wrong. She stepped forward, ignoring the ache in her leg. "Commander Rylan, please listen. The humans did not harm me. They healed me. They protected me. Without them, I would not be alive." Rylan's eyes widened a little, but he stayed silent. Sarala continued with stronger voice. "This human," she said, pointing to Evan, "found me when I was injured. He showed me kindness. He respected me. He saved me from danger more than once." Evan remained quiet, letting her speak for herself. The commander's gaze shifted again between them. "But the stories," Sarala raised her hand, stopping him gently. "The stories were wrong." A quiet murmur spread through the alien soldiers. She took a slow breath and said, "I feared humans more than anything. But Evan showed me that humans are not what we believed. They are not cold. They are not cruel. They can be gentle, caring, and brave." Evan lowered his eyes shyly when she said this, as if unused to such praise. Commander Rylan looked unsettled, struggling to understand. Sarala stepped closer to him. "Commander, I am standing here because I trust him." Evan's heart tightened lightly. Hearing those words surprised him more than she knew. A gentle proof. Rylan didn't move for a long moment. Then he spoke slowly, still cautious. "If what you say is true, then show me." Sarala understood what he meant. She turned toward Evan. He watched her quietly, waiting for her decision. With a calm breath, she reached out her hand toward him. Evan didn't grab it quickly or strongly. He simply lifted his own hand slowly until his fingertips touched hers, offering a gentle connection, not forcing, not pulling. The contact was soft, warm. Sarala felt her chest tighten in a strange but pleasant way. The entire landing platform fell silent. Rylan's eyes softened for the first time. He had seen humans fight, humans shout, humans argue in political meetings. But he had never seen one stand so patiently beside an alien. "I've never seen a human show this much care." He finally spoke, his voice lower. "It seems I misjudged your situation." Relief washed through Sarala. Evan exhaled quietly. Rylan continued. "If the human truly treated you with kindness, then we must reconsider much of what we believed." Sarala nodded. "Yes, there is more truth than the old stories told us." One of the alien soldiers stepped forward and whispered something into the commander's ear. Rylan listened and then nodded. He looked at Sarala. "The council wishes to avoid conflict. If you are unharmed, and if the humans are willing, we can open a peaceful channel." Evan stepped forward respectfully. "We would welcome that." Rylan studied him for a long moment, then finally extended his hand, the formal greeting of Sarala's people. Evan accepted it with the same gentle confidence he always showed. For the first time, the two sides relaxed. A new path. Over the next hour, humans and aliens worked together to exchange information peacefully. Sarala watched the interactions with quiet pride. She had helped open a path that never existed before. Later, when the formal talks settled, Sarala sat outside on a bench near the outpost courtyard. The sky glowed softly with evening colors. Evan walked over and sat beside her. "You did something amazing today," he said. Sarala shook her head. "No. I only spoke the truth." Evan smiled gently. "Sometimes speaking the truth is the hardest thing." She looked at him, her eyes thoughtful. "I was afraid of you, Evan. Truly afraid. I expected cruelty. I expected harshness. But you gave me warmth." Evan looked at the sky shyly. "I'm glad you felt safe here." Sarala studied his face quietly. His calm expression, the steady kindness in his eyes, the way he always gave her space yet stayed close when she needed him, it all made her chest feel warm again. "Evan," she said softly, "my people want me to return with them. But the council asked for something new. They want a joint ambassador from both sides, someone who understands humans. And someone who understands my people." Evan blinked. "You?" She nodded. "Us." He stared at her, surprised. "Me? I'm just an engineer." "You are more than that," Sarala said gently. "You changed the way I see your entire species. You changed my heart." Evan's breath caught slightly, and he looked away before looking back at her with a quiet smile. "Then I guess we'll be working together." Sarala felt her heart warm again. "Yes. Together." The word felt special, meaningful. They sat quietly as the evening breeze passed around them. The sky dimmed into soft twilight. For a moment, the world felt simple and peaceful. Sarala looked at Evan with gentle eyes and said, barely above a whisper, "I expected cruelty, but you showed me something else. Something I never knew existed." Evan met her gaze, warm and steady. "Hope," he said softly. "Humans are good at hope." Sarala smiled, a real, soft smile she hadn't shown anyone in a long time. And as the first stars appeared in the sky, she realized she believed him.